So you're thinking about using DNN possibly, or maybe need a bit of a refresher because it's been a while since you've been in the DNN interface. So what I've gone ahead and done is logged in. We're going to take a look at the back end of DNN. The site, on our site, it happens to be a login link at the bottom. Once you get logged in, you're going to see this admin bar along the left-hand side. This is where you can locate things such as your page structure. So if you click on pages and get in there, you're going to see our site's page structure. You can expand and contract with the plus and minuses to get to child pages. And then also when you have a page selected, such as we have here, the support page that we're on is going to be loaded, and then you can review page settings information for that page, such as the name, the meta title, and the description. You can also view the permissions for the page, so we have this set to being available for all users. That allows anybody in the public to view the site. You can also pare it down to admin only by unchecking that box. You can set it so registered users can have access. There's a variety of options there to provide access. And if we switch to the advanced tab, you can see what modules are on the page. Modules are basically content areas, blocks of content that you add. Also the appearance, so there you can see we have foremost theme, and then if we scroll we can see which page layout is applied and also which container is applied to that page. So the page settings gives you a lot of information and control over what's on your page, and you can even go so far as looking at the SEO. You can see any redirects for the page that are available, whether the page is indexed, and so forth. So this is your page menu, and anything you toggle between. If you can see the little dots here to the right, from there you can get options such as add page, view, which would take you to the page if it was a different page than the one you're currently on, also edit, and then duplicate. From there you can also add pages and add multiple pages from your pages section here too as well. There's also a recycle bin, so any modules or any pages that get removed from your site, unless they are removed completely, would reside in the tabs in here, and also the same applies to users, any deleted users. Our site does not have any deleted users because we maintain that via the database, but this is where anything in terms of pages, modules, or users can be found if they were deleted. You also have the manage section here. This is where you can control users for your website, user roles. Basically, user roles would be administrator, registered user, subscriber is another one that is default in DNN. So you can create also custom roles in there as well. We don't have any on our site. We only have the default because we're maintaining and managing everything. Site assets is another section you would frequently use as a user. This is basically the folder structure of the back end of your site. In here you can see there's quite a few folders. Basically from site to site it's going to vary. A lot of these say form, and that is for our foremost FM forms module. Whenever it stores attachments, those are stored in a folder. But you can see there's an images folder, users folder, and so forth. If we go up, there is probably a documents folder as well, and generally child folders depending on how you organize your content. You can add folders in here, select a folder, and then go in and add your asset. That's a simple form pop-up like you would typically see with it, where you can browse your file or drag and drop a file in and add your file as well. Another thing that you may use from time to time in here could be SEO helper. If you are using one of our DNN sites, we do have that feature available as well. A lot of the other items in here are more advanced in the admin menu. Most of our users are going to use the pages and the site assets and so forth. So if we go to the front end of the website more so now, we will just go back to the home page. and we're going to browse to the support section. Um, so as a typical admin user, you may be managing content on a page. So if you click the little icon on the left here, it's going to get you in edit mode. And if you do it a second time, it's going to lock you in edit mode. From there, you have the secondary edit menu available. Most sites are going to have a lot of HTML modules. Those are just straightforward content that they're adding. May have paragraphs, you may have list items, headings, so on and so forth. If you click on edit content, it's going to bring up the editor, and this is where you can edit existing content and manage that. So if we click on this item here, you'll see this says heading 1. This menu would allow you to change your headings from heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Generally, this is just a vague representation of that, not necessarily the actual size of those headings. But this is where you can choose to modify that. You can, once selected, just type over the top. Same thing would apply for paragraphs. You basically have a source view if you want to edit via HTML if you're comfortable with that. There's your standard, Control C, Control V, Control X for all your copy, paste, etc. Available in there. There's also a view here. If you toggle on the blocks, you can actually see that you have headings and paragraphs, and it actually notes them so you can see visibly without having to switch to code view. There are tools for numbered and bullet lists, quotes, even divs. If you're familiar with using div containers, you can add that. All your alignment tools, similar to Word, your text direction, left to right, right to left, adding a link. You can see we have one here. Existing links, if you right click, you can click edit link, and then you can modify that and change that, such as in this case you could point it to another portal page, page on your site, an anchor. Right now it's set to portal file, so it's pointing portal file or URL, so this is just pointing to another URL, basically another page on the website. So it's using that option. You could also use the portal page too as well on your site. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. The option to set target, so if it is something that you want to pop up a new window, you can select that there. So you can, this is where you would go to edit if you want to link that text to PDF or something. If you click Browse Server, that's going to give you the means to access, for instance, your documents, go in and grab link to a PDF. It's got a simple little upload here, so you can drop your files and add your files as needed. And once you select that, then you can just click OK. I'm just going to close out quick here. From there, once you have everything set, you can just hit OK and that will update it. That pop-up is basically the same, so if you're creating a new link, you can highlight the text that you want to link up, choose the link option here. If you want to remove a hyperlink such as this, just highlight that, all that blue text, and then use the unlink option. The anchor tool is the little flag icon if you want to use page anchors. That's generally for people who have a little bit more knowledge on the back end as to what those do, but basically if you have a link that points to anchor, you click it, it goes to that anchor point on the page. So that's what that's for. The little picture icon would be for adding images. Basically wherever you have your cursor, if you select that icon, you can then browse to the server and select an existing image or upload an image to your file directory. Once you get that done, you'll want to make sure, generally it's going to put in your width and height here, you'll want to clear those out. If your site is responsive, which any brand new site for most media builds would be, you'll want to have that zeroed out. So just leave those empty so that your images will scale properly as you change from desktop to tablet to mobile view. Always make sure too that you add your alt text in there when you're adding new images on the site. That's important for your SEO value to have something in there at the very least, even if you're not working on optimizing your SEO. Don't leave it blank. So once you get your image uploaded in there, you can just click OK, and that will close that guy out. There's also a table tool, so if you do need to add tables, you can do so. Tables are a little bit tricky for responsive, so if you do add any tables to your page, make sure that you set the width to 100 as a percent at least, so that will make it flow with your page. If you have a set width on there, such as 500, if somebody is looking at it on the phone, your table is going to get cut off. So you want to make sure that you modify that if you're adding any tables. But you can basically set your rows, columns, if you want the first row as a header, border size and so forth, or alignment, and you can set them all via the tools in here. And then if you hit OK, it will generate that table, and you can just click through the cells and tab through it there. So it's pretty straightforward. There's the horizontal line tool that basically just adds that horizontal line between content wherever you add that. There's also a special character mapper, so some of your characters such as registered trademark and copyright are located in there, and also trademark if you wish to add those, as well as other characters with accents if you need to insert those. Basically, the bottom is just for styles, your bold, italic, underline, strike through, so forth. There's also the styles drop down. Generally, you're not going to want to use that. It's just basically the core editor thing. It would not apply anything that is related in your theme generally. So that one you can generally disregard. And then you have the one here for headings. If you choose normal, that would be the same as a paragraph. Whenever you add a paragraph to the module, it should be getting wrapped in a paragraph even if you're not selecting that, but if you want to be sure and you're not inspecting, you can also select your text and add it. If in regards to that as well, if you use the return key, it will generate a new paragraph and not a line break. Generally, you're not going to want to add forced line breaks in content. It may make widow words in terms of some of your smaller with devices if you have those forced line breaks present. The last items here I recommend not using just because it's going to make keeping your styles consistent on the site very difficult. So it's best not to choose the font or the size or the foreground or background color, but they're present in the editor anyways. The editor also has a version history, so there's up to 5 in there, and it tracks, the date and everything when that was. You have the ability to roll them back, which is handy, but there is only 5 stored. So when you're editing your content, you want to be careful not to do the revert too many times, or you may lose the version that was correct if something kind of got messed up along the way. So that's a basic HTML module. Your HTML modules also are click and drag. So if you hover over the bar, you get the crosshairs and you can move it to another pane, which are any of these areas on the page with the dotted outlines. You'll see that when you hover them, there's a little name that appears on the upper left. That is the pane name, so that you have a way to know where it's situated, but you can drag and drop them between panes. You can also use the tool up here to choose it by name. And the controls also have the settings, which at times you may be wanting to use the title or setting specific permissions on modules. They are available on a module level as well. Most of the time you're going to see that the modules have inherit view permissions from page present, and that is because it is using whatever the page has, so you don't have to set them individual unless you want something other than what the page is set to. Get the other page settings. Sometimes there may be icons in use. I can also apply module containers. This one happens to have a container applied. Basically, the DNN containers are a set of styles that apply to whatever content is within that module. So it could be a blue heading that's 24 pixels tall, centered, and maybe the whole thing has a gray background, for instance. So it'll just apply to whatever is in that module. If there's another module on the page, those styles will not apply to it unless that container is applied. So that's kind of roughly what you have available with the with the modules. There are various modules on the page. This is just HTML. On some of our sites here, we are using another module which is called 2SXC. It allows to kind of build out content and add information via more of a form look, so that it makes it easier to add things consistently and treats it more from the database side where you're not adding something and styling it per se. So you may see some of that. So the little circle edit icon would indicate that it is that 2XSC module, um, 2SXC module, and that would edit in a different way. There's also gallery modules. There's modules for blog, modules for news, a lot of very specialized. Also, we have a form module that's on our contact us page too. So we have a lot out there, and DNN has a lot to offer. So if you have any questions, definitely let us know. You can reach out via the contact form on our contact us page, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And that's a quick overview of DNN 9.